Alrighty, hour number two of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. And I've talked to this man's father for my next guest many times, going back to even when I was in high school. I saw him a few weeks ago back at MetLife Stadium. And his son's gone on to be a pretty damn good football player, undefeated at Iowa State this year. They're ranked 10th in the country. The Cyclones are 7-0, and now joining us after talking all those years to Anthony Becht, I get to talk to Rocco Becht, who's kind enough to join us right now. Rocco, how you been?
I've been doing well. I appreciate you having me on today. And you probably got the better version of, the Beck last name with me and now my dad coming on. So it's pretty fun to be here.
Well, he had one card that he wanted me to just kind of display to you right at the top of this interview. He had a very important question. Who's the better golfer? Is it Pops or you?
That's an easy question. He knows that answer too. I could really expose him right now if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that for him. But it's easily me as the best golfer.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that answer because he told me
It's
once
me. It's
again,
me.
he said last night when I was talking to him, tell Rocco, just ask him who's the better golfer. I at least thought it was easily going to be him and you were going to be trash at golf, if I'm being honest.
No, 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 no. He likes to lie about that, his golf game a lot. But no, it's easily going to be me.
Yeah, you got to make Pop just feel good about himself and let him believe that kind of stuff. Just how
Exactly.
about your relationship with your dad? Obviously, he's your dad, but we know his NFL background. He played his college ball at West Virginia, was a first round pick. Just how has that helped you really to become the football player and man that you are today?
Yeah, ever since I was in high school, first off getting recruited and, working out for the first time, he was always by my side. He knew the wrongs and the rights of, doing what it was right to, get to that next level. And of course, when I got to college, he was such a big help for me, just mentally, and just physically, but mostly mentally. And I don't think I would have been where I am right now without him and, especially just my mom. But having those two people, my mom and my dad at my games every single week and just having the ability to talk to them before games and after games. It's surely been a blessing for me to have them in my life like that. And so just going back to high school, my dad's just been there, by my side the whole time. And he's when I got to college, it's been the same exact way.
I know for two of those years in high school, he was on the offensive staff being able to coach you. Now, I've talked to people before that have coached their kids, and sometimes they love it, sometimes they don't like it. Just you being on the other side of it, how was that experience? It seemed to go pretty damn well for you.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, before those 2 years, he wasn't really able to come see my games because he was always just working, doing college games, commentating for him, and just doing stuff with the NFL. And so having those 2 years, my last 2 years of high school with him was remarkable because I was able to learn so much from him, just on the field, how to act, how to lead. And, I wouldn't trade those 2 years for anything else.
Rocco Becht here with us. When you decided to go to Iowa State, was dad a little hurt since it wasn't West Virginia?
I don't think he was a little bit hurt because he knew that, it was my decision and, he loved Iowa State as well. He loved Matt Campbell, the way that he, approached himself, the way that he approached the team, what he was building, the culture that he was building. He loved everything about it. And, that whole conversation is different, is, separate with West Virginia and all that. But, me coming here was my decision and him and my mom truthfully knew that, it was a right decision for me. And so just having them by my side and having the trust in them for me to make my own decision was awesome.
I know he loves you. He also loves his school, though. How was it this past year when you did a pretty nice number on his alma mater?
Yeah, that was an awesome game. I mean, leading up to that game, and just knowing that my dad was going to be honored at in between the first and second quarter, there's going to be a lot of emotions, obviously, and so that was a tough week for me, just preparing and handling all those emotions that were going throughout my head, and leading up to the game, I just felt like I was super calm. All I wanted to learn, do that day was win that game, no matter what the stats were, because that was a big game for me. That was marked on my calendar for a while. And so leading up to that game, I knew, the goal I had in my head and what I needed to do to go out there and prepare. And so I felt like I had a great week of preparation that, West Virginia week. And the coaches did a great job of keeping me cool, calm, and collected that whole week and just blocking out the noise that, was leading up to that game. And so I was proud of my performance, and obviously, I'm happy for my dad that he was able to get honored at that game, while I was playing. So that was pretty cool as well. And so it was just a fun night for, the Beck family.
Very neat indeed. Rocco Becht here with us. I look at your football team this year. I was really impressed last week because what makes the look of a great football team is when you guys make mistakes, you don't play to your best of your ability throughout the entirety of the game, but when it matters, you step up, you resilient, and you deliver. Just what did it say last week in a crazy game up against UCF that you guys were able to pull out that victory and go on that big drive towards the end of the game?
Yeah, we knew going into that game that UCF was going to give us, everything they had. Just knowing that we were undefeated, top 10 ranked, that they had nothing to lose. It was a game for them to get back on track, and we knew that. So we knew it was going to be a dogfight, and they came out with everything they had. One thing that we wanted to work on, going into that week that we felt like we hadn't been doing well is, starting fast on the first drives of the game and starting fast on the first drive of the half after halftime. And just like in that game, you could see that it didn't really happen for us. And so, we just have a good mentality. I think that what Coach Campbell has brought to the table and what he's been able to ingrain into our heads is mental toughness, and that's just the biggest thing that we've had this whole year. You could go back to Iowa when we played at Kinnick and we were down double digits. I mean, that's a tough place to play and a tough place to come back from. And then, a week before, 2 weeks before UCF, we played Baylor at home and we were down double digits. So the ability to overcome adversity for our team is, huge for us. And I feel like that's what I've been able to preach to the team is we've been in harder situations. And so that's why I feel like that we were able to, execute in the biggest, scenarios during that game and execute at a high level.
I know you talked about the mental toughness part, which Coach Campbell, and obviously you know everything or a lot of what he's about from afar when you were committing to go to Iowa State. But
Yeah.
since being there, as of late, has anything exceeded your expectations with him? Has anything surprised you about Coach Campbell that you've learned more about him?
Man, I would say that one thing that has, really gotten to me and surprised me the most over the last couple of years is how well he, treats just everybody in the facility. His door is always open. He talks to walk-ons, scholarship guys, guys that, come back to the facility, new guys that just come in. I mean, everybody is treated the same way from him. And that's what I love about him because, you don't get a lot of that, everywhere else across the country. And that's just my opinion. And I feel like that he's one of a kind. And he's the reason why we're here today because of his leadership and what he's been able to ingrain into the seniors that we have on our team and what they've been able to do to trickle it down to the freshmen on our team.
Rocco Beck, when I hear your name talked about nationally, I always hear people say you're one of the most underrated players in the country. And I know that is meant to be a compliment, but it
Yeah.
also means you're not getting enough national recognition by a lot of people. Does that annoy you when people say, hey, Rocco Becht is the most underrated player in the country?
Honestly, no, because I know the only opinion that matters on my end is my opinion and how I see myself playing in a game. And honestly, after that UCF game, I came outside and talked to my dad and mom, and I told them that I thought I played like terrible today. It was my worst game I've ever played. And, I was unhappy about that win because that's not how I want to win that game. And, I think that just that ability for me to just know what I did wrong and even when things are going right, is something that my dad has taught me throughout life. And so I feel like that's just going to be huge for me and for the team, going into these next couple of weeks of the season. And yeah, I try to block out all that noise outside and, just focus on myself and worry about my game and how I'm able to get better.
So if we see the best version of Rocco Becht, how would you describe that? What does that look like?
Yeah, I would say accuracy is on point, and which starts with my footwork. And sometimes, during the week and during games, my footwork kind of gets out of whack when, pressure is coming. And so I got to be able to, fix those things during the week and get better at that. But, obviously just making the right reads, a check down is part of your read and something that I need to probably work better on is just getting throughout my whole read and throughout the whole concept and getting to the backside of them. And so I'm growing and working every single week and continue to grow. And so that's the fun part about football is you're never perfect, especially at the quarterback position. And so just having the ability to have this bye week this week for me and, just this team as well, it's huge for us to go into this last stretch of the season.
Now, a lot of times when people hear that you're the quarterback, and we know what you did last year as well, people be like, oh, I remember his father, he was a tight end. How did you fall in love with the quarterback position, and why did you think that was your right calling?
Man, I've been playing quarterback ever since I was, I could touch a football, and I think that just came from when I grew up, I was like always had that kind of like leadership mentality and just like wanting to have the ball in my hands whenever there had to be a big play made, and I felt like quarterback was a position where you could do all of those things, And honestly, also my mom didn't give me my height that I wanted to be a tight end. So that wasn't going to work out anyways, no matter if I wanted to be a tight end or not, because I'm not tall enough. So there I
But you
had
know
to
what?
pick something else.
She fed you well enough, but not in a sloppy way. You're as big as dad, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So she kind of hurt me on that end of the scale, but quarterback, I feel like was always my calling because I thought I was brought to this world to be able to lead and help others, and that's what a quarterback does. Not only on the field but off the field as well.
With the success that you had last year, it's just the nature of the sport. People were thinking you were going to transfer, you were maybe going to go to a different school. Why did you elect to stay? Unpeel the curtain a little bit for me why you stayed at Iowa State.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was really a reason to leave. I mean, we had in my opinion, two of the top, two receivers in the Big 12 coming back to our school, and we had a all American freshman tight end coming back. We had a running back room that was full of dudes in the room that could, really run the rock and, get some yards. And my whole offensive line was coming back, and we had 19 of 22 starters for our whole team coming back as well. So I didn't really think there was a reason to leave because I knew the expectations that we had in mind and the goals that we were able to set last year. And, just knowing that we didn't finish the season off right, that there was just kind of a spark that was lit after that game. And what led us into the offseason to be able to grind and, get up early and go through the hard things and, come into this fall camp, this season and prepare, the way we were preparing to be able to be in this position today, 7-0 going into our bye week. And so I feel like there was really no other option for me besides to stay here and, credit to Coach Campbell for allowing me and trusting me to go out there and play my game, and that's one of the reasons also that I've stayed is because the culture that he's built at Iowa State.
The success you guys are having, just based off that answer, I'm assuming this does not surprise you what you guys have done to start this year, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what we were thinking. Going after that Memphis game we played last year in the bowl, we set high expectations for ourselves and didn't worry about the outside noise. We didn't worry about we were, predicted seventh in the Big 12. We didn't worry about all that. We just worried about ourselves, and because we knew we were good enough to go out there and play our game and win the games that were on our schedule. And so we take each game week by week. And go into each week knowing that we're 0-0 and not worrying about our record. And nobody on our team has ego or selfishness about how much time game time they're playing or what's their stats of the game. Everybody's worried about the win, and so I feel like that's what's so special about this team.
Who are some of your favorite quarterbacks? Just wondering, growing up, or quarterbacks for the last few years, maybe that you watch intensely.
Yeah, I think in the past, the ones that I grew up was, obviously you got to put Tom Brady in there, but I was a big fan of Russell Wilson in his early career at Seattle. The way he was able to throw the ball down the field, I thought, I learned a lot from those two couple guys. And then now I feel like I watch a lot of Jared Goff. You can see that just in the past couple of weeks, I think he has like under 10 incompletions in the last 3 games, and so that's incredible to watch. And so just him, Joe Burrow, just those guys that I feel like handle adversity really well and are able to lead their team when bad things happen. And so they're very good with their footwork and their accuracy. And so just trying to see how much film I can watch on those guys is beneficial for me.
And now we all look at Joe Burrow as a number one pick, but he had one of the greatest rises we've ever seen. I know Jared Goff was the number one overall pick, but they gave up on him in LA even after he got to a Super Bowl. I'm assuming that really resonates with you because even those guys have been the top dog, they've had
Yeah.
underdog storylines throughout their career.
Exactly. And that just goes back to the point of, the way they're able to handle adversity. And, Joe Burrow had gotten hurt his first year, and next year he comes back and goes to the Super Bowl. So as long as you put your mind to it and work at it, anything can happen, in my opinion.
I mean this in a positive way. It sometimes doesn't sound that way. I once had to say this to Dan Lanning. Like when I watch you, you're like a football maniac. Like you'll do whatever it takes to go win a game. And you
Yeah.
saw that last week just running through defenders, even when it looked like it wasn't going your way. But what is it when you get on the football field that you're willing to do whatever it takes to go get a victory?
Yeah, I just have a competitive mindset. I feel like my dad would tell you the same thing where, I'm at home and he's with me. Anything we do, anything we play, it's competitive. And he's been able to hand that over to me. And that's why I feel like, I'm a competitor on the field. I'm willing to do anything to get the win, get the first down, when it's fourth and inches, everybody's lined up on the line. And so I feel like that's just where it comes from is my dad. And whenever I step on that field, I know that we have the ability to win. And if we don't, it's because we did it to ourselves. And so that's just the way I think. That's just the way, my mentality is. And I just gotta have the mindset of knowing that, I can be the best in the country. And I feel like that, as a team, we're able to, just continue to, proceed and hit on the precision and detail throughout the season to be our best.
And that's why I think you guys are going to continue this, because you could be 7-0, you start to get praise. It hasn't seemed like any complacency has sunk in. The answer that still stands out to me is you thought you played terrible the other game and you guys still won. So if you guys could actually start getting a great level of play in your mind out of yourself, man, it feels like the sky's the limit with this squad.
And that's what we're thinking. We knew that we didn't play our best game, and we knew that our expectations are higher than that, and we can play better than that. And so that's just the best thing about this team, the thing that I love the most.
For anyone that's doubting your team and saying, hey, they can't do this, they can't do that, what do you say to them?
Keep doubting us because it's working and it's helping us because we hear that stuff and we know that we can prove those people wrong. So keep doubting us, and we'll see you towards the end of the season.
He is Rocco Becht, the quarterback of the Iowa State Cyclones, who are, of course, 7-0, ranked 10th in the country. Rocco, we appreciate it. I'll text Dad and see if you're actually better at golf than him, all right?
I appreciate you. Thank you.